Hello, and welcome to Stories from the View, a podcast from the Pleasant View Senior Center in East Longmeadow, Massachusetts. On this podcast, we invite East Longmeadow residents to tell us stories about their lives and events, and today's guest is Kelly Greene, and she is a resident of East Longmeadow, and so she's going to be interviewed today by Mary Genoan Kaplan.
Thank you, Eric, and good morning, Kelly.
Good morning. I'm so excited to be here.
We are so happy to see you and can't wait to hear your story. Now, Eric tells me that you're an East Longmeadow resident. When did you come to our city?
So I came here in December of 1992. I had my son in my belly, so it's very easy to remember how many years I've been here. So I've been here for 32 years. And I had a roommate in college. Her name is Sue. She got married. She introduced me to my ex-husband as I was a bridesmaid. His whole family grew up here, and that's what brought me to East Longmeadow.
Well, thanks to them.
Yes.
That's great. Yes. And so you came as a young, almost mother.
Yes.
And settled down. And what was your first impression on our town?
Wow. I had never heard of East Longmeadow. I had been coming here.
Where were you from?
I grew up in northeastern Connecticut, in the quiet corner in the woods. East Longmeadow is very similar. It's a very nice place. And I had visited a couple times and visited his family, my ex-husband's family. And I even had a friend from high school that said, East Longmeadow, wow, that place is fabulous. So I got to learn a lot about East Longmeadow in the 32 years I've been here, and I haven't left.
That is just fabulous. So you raised a child here?
Yes.
And were probably active in the school system and supportive in the community. And how'd you get involved?
So it started, I guess, with my son in Boy Scouts. He's an Eagle Scout. So we were very involved in Cub Scouts, Boy Scouts. Probably ran into a lot of people in the community at either a wreath sale or an Easter plant sale. And his Eagle project was to give emergency kits to all the schools. So I got to meet so many different people through that started the whole thing. And then through church and Lions Club and everything else I'm involved in, it's just been wonderful experiences.
Isn't that something? So tell us a little bit about them. What was one of the most fun things? And I know it's hard to choose, but
I was just going to say, wow, that's putting me on the spot. Because I'm now a little older, I probably would have to go to a more recent memory, and that was just the whole holiday weekend that we had in East Longmeadow. It's our second year.
Oh, from the Lions?
Yes,
Lions.
I do it through the Lions, the East Longmeadow Lions Club, and also through my church at East Longmeadow United Methodist Church. So it started off on Friday, and I got to help King Roland with the truck parade. And it was really cold on that Friday night. I don't know if you remember the tree lighting. So I had to wear some long johns under my jeans, and I got to meet so many different people and members of the community and all their trucks and light it up. And it was just a fun experience. It didn't even feel like it was cold that night. Wonderful. Went off without a instance, and I was so happy.
Well, and they have games for the kids, reindeer games on the church lawn, hot chocolate. It's like a Norman Rockwell
It
event.
is. And Santa was there, and he drove in the fire truck. So he arrived. And then the next day on Saturday through my church, I did a cookie decorating. And it was open to anyone in East Longmeadow or even in any of the surrounding communities. And that was fun as well. Just watching the families come in, and they didn't have to worry about getting the supplies or making a mess. And it was just wonderful to watch them.
Oh, great fun. What a wonderful opportunity to get you in the holiday spirit. And was it well attended? Did it feel like there were a lot of frosting flying while it was happening?
Last year it seemed like we had 24. I kind of kept 8. But this year was not as well attended, and I wonder if that was the cold or if it wasn't as well advertised. I wasn't sure of the difference. But we did have the Christmas music blaring, and it did get us in the holiday spirit, and I did decorate the hall.
How wonderful. That sounds like great fun. Lions do a lot of good projects in our town, for sure.
They do. And I think when King Roland was here, he also talked about the picnic for the blind, and I've been involved in that as well. And it's just amazing to see what happens at these picnics. And I just have a really good time going and talking to each one of these community members and helping them out and serving them food, and the food is just wonderful.
So what happens? I have never attended. And can you paint a little bit of a picture for our listeners?
Sure. As they walk in, we have this wonderful musician who starts playing music because that is the sense that they have the best, and they start singing to the music. And this guy has been there for so many years, and he knows them and he talks to them. So that's the way the whole mood starts. And then we have this wonderful meal of paninis, and there's chips, and there's a dessert with the cookies, and it's appetizers. I forgot about them. And the members just really enjoy.
That sounds fun.
Yeah. And they all know each other. So it's like a little mini reunion. Hey, how you doing? Haven't seen you in a little while. Yeah.
I think rituals are important.
Yes.
And having holidays that aren't really holidays, but it's a holiday for them. It's a
Right.
holiday for the Lions to do this. And what a kindness. So
Right.
that's
I've
a good
also
thing.
been on the Lion subject. I've also been involved in the Fishing Derby, which is also a wonderful event that we just brought back that King Roland had covered. And I usually do the recording of the weights and the sizes of the fish.
Ah.
So I get to see the children
Oh.
as they come with their fish, and they want the results. And of course they ask, do I have the biggest fish? We're not really sure yet, but you might be in the running. You have to be really careful the way you answer them because they're so excited
You don't
about
want to break their little
Exactly.
hearts.
Exactly.
And weather was good this past year
Oh, thank goodness for that.
at Heritage
Yes.
Pond. Yeah.
Yes, for this year. Last year, I remember it was rainy and yeah. So we had some better weather this year. Makes it for a big difference.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What fun.
it was
Good
fun.
work. Now you've been very active in your church.
Yes.
Tell us about that.
Well, there's a lot of things. What do I start with? So because you have the open pantry here, I'd like to start with that.
Oh, okay,
I love
good.
being involved with the open pantry here. And then when I came on Fridays in September, and you had a meal themed, and you were there when the mobile pantry, it was so nice to meet you there
Yeah.
and bring my own. And then I've helped bring open pantry items from church. And we had what was called the drive-through brown bag pantry. Didn't want to get that wrong.
Oh,
Where
my.
Members of East Long Meadow and surrounding communities could come in and drive in the parking lot, so it wasn't as intense, for lack of a better word, where they could just drive up and get their bag of food. And that was really fun. So it started with, so that's one thing I do. I teach Sunday school.
What grade?
So I teach the high school students, which is very interesting because this is my first year teaching the high school students. Yes, I used to have middle school and then the elementary school. So it's a whole different ball game with the high school students.
Absolutely. But middle school too. And you've done it all.
Yes. And just one quick story with that. I myself was not even familiar with what the three wise men brought, the frankincense, the myrrh, and the gold. So you can order it on Amazon. I actually got the frankincense and the myrrh, and we experimented with it so that the high school students could actually know what it was. So the whole purpose of that story is that it's a learning experience for me as well.
So did you make like myrrh punch? What did you do?
So myrrh,
I don't know.
myrrh is more of an oil.
Uh-huh.
And I learned that as well. And we learned about how it's healing and in the way that the aroma. So we put a little bit on the back of our hand so that we could smell it, and we talked about it. The frankincense, on the other hand, is a little bit more interesting. You can actually burn that.
Oh.
Yes. And that was what they, I think, had a little bit more fun with,
Yeah,
watching that, the way
we
it burned
enjoy
and the way
fire,
that
yeah.
it smelled. Yes. Yes.
Kelly, when you get involved in a project, you really get involved in a project.
I like to learn new things, and it's just always a fun thing to always try new things. So when we were at church, I started a singles group. And today it still exists. It has morphed into Singles and More. So now you don't have to be single to come because it was so popular. We do a lot of potlucks. I'm involved in the church council, of course. And then because of my background, I am involved with the finance committee, helping out with them. And I do these statements. as
So-
a financial secretary.
Was your educational background like accounting?
It was.
You are not the stereotypical accountant.
No, I'm not. That is so true. Yes. So I did have a bachelor's in accounting. I went to Bryant College. And actually, it's Bryant University now. And right out of college, I went and worked for the Internal Revenue Service. Worked there for 34 and a half years.
For the IRS, yes. Waited for
age eligibility, and a lot will say to me, "Oh, you retired so early," because I got to retire at 56 and 6 months. And it's not that I didn't love that job. I did. I loved the job, but I loved my quality of life more. I love to travel, and I love to do all these things with the church and with the Lions and other things in the community.
Did you see a lot of changes in the IRS
Oh,
from
yes.
young Kelly to 34 years later?
Oh, yes. Well, I think the biggest one, and the one I was involved with, was going to paperless. We used to have so much paper in the government, and I was in charge of the software program when I had left. I had done a lot of auditing in between, and I was trying to go paperless, and we did get pretty far, at least in the large case division. But that was the biggest change.
And so you found that there was a great reduction of paper?
Oh, yes.
Because I will say in my world, I still have a lot of paper in my house. So maybe I need your skills in helping to be more reliant on our computer, but maybe not.
Well, on a personal level, the question I get asked the most is, how long do I need to keep my records?
Mhm.
Really, it's 3 years. And I find that many have kept their tax returns back to 10 years. You don't really have to keep them that long.
3 years.
3 years, yes.
We learn so much in the podcast, don't we? That's great. I'm doing some purging now. I appreciate that. I'm going to go shred a few more boxes. That is wonderful. So what else is on your list there, Kelly? She's very
So,
organized.
Let's see. I did, so I've been very involved in our block parties. So much fun in the neighborhood. I have to in the past, I had to contact the police and the fire and ask if we could block off one of the roads, and then they have to go through some procedures, and then they approve it. And it's just been wonderful, especially when we get new neighbors, to welcome them and really get to know them. I hear a lot of feedback that some don't even know their neighbors. I've been very fortunate to be very close with my neighbors. And now that we have a younger generation in the neighborhood, they have taken it over so that I have very less to do.
Succession planning.
I
Good
love
work.
it. Yes. So that's been great in the community, and having the block party. I also volunteer to do taxes for the Hamden Senior Center. So I had seen an advertisement in the newsletter here for East Long Meadow, and I was so excited. I was thinking we were going to do it in East Long Meadow, but it turns out there's so many procedures and policies to get a new site. And the Hamden Senior Center already had their clientele, and they really needed help there. So I said, okay, I'll have to put East Long Meadow on the back burner, but I haven't given that up yet.
Good. Thank
So
you.
I'm hoping that in a couple years that we'll be able to do tax returns here.
Again, yeah.
Yes.
That would be wonderful. So you can pack up your passport and get to Hamden and help them out a little bit.
Right, and maybe even do two days a week. What had, I guess, put a stop to it is a year from now, I'll be going on a world cruise for 4 months. Actually, it's now 4.5. So I'm going to miss tax season, which was a
That's
big
kind of the
adjustment.
accountant dream, isn't it? Like, even if it wasn't your intention, it was probably subconscious.
So it was during tax season, and that's why I had to put off East Long Meadow for another year, and hopefully we'll come back and be able to open East Long Meadow.
Tell us a little more about the World Cruise so that I can live it vicariously through you.
Been wanting to do this for many, many years, and finally went into AAA, booked it, and okay, so it leaves January 5th from Fort Lauderdale. It goes to 50 different ports, and it's 4 months. Just found out yesterday when I went to go in to get an update and make a payment that because of what's going on in the Red Sea, they had to extend it. So now it's 4.5 months, and it ends in Los Angeles. So I get to go to Alaska in addition to what had been previously planned. Yes, it's going to be fantastic. The trip of a lifetime. Really looking forward to it. Many people say, I cannot be away for 4 months. I can.
Our world will be a little quieter because Kelly will be away,
Oh,
but
that's right. You won't
okay.
see me at
I
the
won't
senior
see
center
you at
for
the senior center
exercise,
and in the
open
community.
pantry.
Ah,
Yes.
but what a
Yeah.
great idea.
Yeah.
Do it. It's on your bucket list, and now it'll be accomplished.
Yes.
There might have to be a podcast after the
After
World
the World
Cruise.
Cruise. But I would not have been able to do that if I hadn't retired. So now you know why I had retired.
Are there any particularly fascinating spots where you're going to be going on the tour, or of great interest to you?
Actually, it's interesting that you asked that because I've always wanted to go to Australia, and it will stop in Australia. It does go to New Zealand, and then there'll be Barcelona, and there'll be Italy, and all the great places that we have. So I always wanted to go scuba diving in the Great Barrier Reef, but it will not stop there. But that doesn't mean that all those places are so interesting that it's going to be a great trip.
Okay, I'd like to amend my comment. This isn't a podcast. This is a travelogue at the senior center, so we get the pictures and the narrative.
Well, and you've been to many places as well.
I have been on
Yeah.
a cruise
Yeah.
because a friend of mine called.
Oh,
And my husband has vertigo, so he can't do ships. And, you kind of hate to leave him behind. I'm fond of him. But she said, will Mary like to go on a cruise with me? I didn't even know where or how long. And I said, yes. So we did get to go to the Red Sea and did Dubai and Egypt. And I'd never been on a cruise. I spent 18 days just looking around, and everyone was so nice. It was just a great trip. So I'm envious of you, but I know the fun that is in store for you. The interesting people, and then the places. I mean, even the people on the ship.
exactly.
And the programs are fun.
Yes.
That's great.
Yeah, it is. It's going to be a wonderful, wonderful experience.
Let's drag you back to East Long Meadow.
Sure.
What else do you
Friends,
have here?
Yeah, the Friends of the Council of Aging. I just joined, and I'm very excited to see what you do. I've already heard about your concert assistance in helping out with the refreshments, and I'm looking forward to seeing how I can help out in that.
Oh, we are so excited. This is, I don't want to use the wrong words, Eric, so feel free to edit me here. It's a re-emergence or a reconfiguring. We've had a friendship group, but not a friends group. So we're not really starting from scratch, but new ventures are always fun for me. So I'm glad you're in line for that.
Yeah. No, that's
Looking
great.
forward to that.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah. So I just thought it would be interesting to bring up the fact that I am the tail twister in the Lions Club. And the tail twister is the person that is supposed to break up the monotony of a meeting and supposed to be funny. And that's the funniest thing, because as an accountant and a prior IRS agent, I don't have a very large sense of humor. So it's been very interesting trying to fill that role. And I've been having a lot of fun with that.
So can you give us, for instance, an example? How do you bring fun to their lives, to your meetings?
A lot of trivia. So I might do what's today? Today's National Coffee Day. Let's talk about Coffee Day. Or it's February, so we'll do something on Valentine's Day. And then there's the dead or alive. Is this person dead or is this person alive? So it's a lot of trivia, and it's fun because it just is organically, people laugh no matter what you're doing or what topic it is. There's always something fun that happens, and something, of course, you always learn.
And I imagine that when it's tail twister time and Kelly stands up, there's that feeling of, what's going to
What's she
happen
gonna
today?
do? What should I know?
How will our
Should I-
tails being
Yeah, what should I
twisted?
pay attention to? Yeah. So.
And it'll provide some conversation at the tables when you sit down and the tail twisting is over. Because you get a pretty good turnout. You meet at Mario's usually, right?
We do, yes, and I actually have seen you there as well.
Not in the Lions
Not in the
meetings, but
Lions Club.
at the beverage counter,
Or
as
where they
they
have,
say.
or where they have that live entertainment sometimes.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes, because we can hear it while we're in the meetings.
I know sometimes, that's everyone can groove with it. Yes, they have some wonderful entertainment at Mario's. It's a good community resource for all of us. Okay, I see you got
So
another.
yeah, I was just trying to recall a couple of the other items that I've done. So through church, I've done Habitat through Humanity. I've gone down to Louisiana, to Slidell and New Orleans, and even done some community work here, Springfield, revitalized Springfield. So that's always been a great experience.
You know how to hammer a nail, and
I do, and it helps me with my own home so that I can do things at my own home. So that's been very rewarding and very beneficial.
and a wonderful way to meet really nice people.
Oh,
Because
yes.
I don't think you do that stuff if you're crabby.
Exactly. We always get to meet the homeowner when we go down and do a big project. And even in revitalized Springfield, we were able, it's been called many things. The homeowner would come out and either help us or work along with us and ask us our story, and we would get to hear theirs. Good stuff, right, Mary?
Absolutely. Things that warm your heart.
Yes. So one of the other things I did at church, which was way out of my comfort zone, was I did a rap to help the children during children's time to learn about the apostles. And that was quite a gig that I had to video, make sure I got a video to show some, or you can watch back the service and you can see that.
So you made up a rap about the apostles?
Yes, and actually did it during children's time and sang with the help of two other gentlemen in the church.
Did the adults in the adult service feel cheated that the kids got to see? Well, they could, I suppose, watch it on the...
That's right. And then we did put what we referred to as the refrain up on the screen so that the church members could sing in along if they wanted to. I don't think many took us up on that opportunity, but some did.
So you have a short yet illustrious career as a rapper.
And I
I'm
have to
almost afraid to ask what else is on that list. This is too much fun.
Well, I had I have to tell you, I am not musically inclined, and one of the things on my bucket list was to sing in the choir, and that was funny. I did the part of the Easter cantata, and I remember sitting up there, and everybody in church was kind of looking like, is that Kelly up there? What is Kelly doing up there? She's usually ushering or helping out or doing the offering. What is she doing in the
She
choir?
got lost and wandered up on stage.
So I will just add that I only did that once because I am not musically inclined. So the rap probably didn't sound as good as it could have, but it was fun.
And I think it's good for brain fitness to do something outside your comfort zone and try something new, another part of your brain working. And it makes people sit up and take notice. What?
Like something like this. When you had initially asked me to do the podcast, I was a little hesitant, wondering what it was all about. And then I said, just try it. And it's been a great experience. Thank you.
Oh, good. Well, and I will say, and I asked Kelly before Zumba, but several other Zumba participants were there and they were like, yes, Kelly. And that's something I like about East Long Meadow is I think we have nice people in our town and they're supportive and they're interested. And I don't know, do you have any parting words for the good people of East Long Meadow or why you like our town? Or, I'm not going to ask what your next venture is because I know you're traveling the world, 50 stops in 4.5 months. Woohoo!
Which I think we've said during this podcast, and I think it's the theme throughout. It's no matter where you are and what you do in East Long Meadow, whether you go to Big Y or whether you're in an event or at the Crafty Apple Fair, which we do at our church, the members and the residents of East Long Meadow are just fantastic. They're very nice, and one of the reasons why
You
I
stayed.
decided to stay in East Long Meadow after all these years and not leave.
It wasn't your original home, but it's become your home.
Yes, it has.
And we are glad that you are here. Thank you so much for coming today.
Thank you.
Okay, well, that wraps up another episode of Stories from the View. We'd like to thank Kelly Greene for being here today. The Stories from the View podcast is available on the LCAT 01028 channel on YouTube, and we're also on Spotify. If you have a story you'd like to share on the program, contact Pleasant View Senior Center Director Aaron Kobler by stopping by the Senior Center, or you can email Aaron at aaron.kobler@eastlongmeadowma.gov, or you can call Aaron at 413-525-5436, extension 1401. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time on Stories from the View.